Welcome back to the channel. You want to get into some creepy shit today? Let's get into some creepy shit. We're going to talk about Alcatraz Island, some of the legends I've heard, and my experiences. I want to take you somewhere dark. Not just dark in history, but dark in energy. This episode is called Haunted Histories, The Ghosts of Alcatraz, and I'll be sharing paranormal accounts, chilling legends, and some very strange stories tied to one of America's most infamous prisons. I recently visited and released some videos on Alcatraz Island, and let's just say, it stays with you. Today, we're going beyond the ferry ride and the Cellblocks, into the shadows. Now, let's get into it. First, let's set the stage here. Alcatraz was more than just a prison. It was a fortress, cold, isolated, and designed to break spirits. It began as a military prison during the Civil War and evolved into a federal penitentiary in 1934. The worst of the worst were sent here. Men like Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz, was also there. Inmates lived in a 5-foot by 9-foot cell. Solitary confinement was brutal. There was no privacy, minimal contact with the outside world, and the constant sound of the wind and waves, reminding you just how trapped you really were. And those conditions, they left an imprint. It's no surprise that over time, stories started to emerge. Stories of voices echoing in empty halls, cold spots, and apparitions of long-dead inmates. Even before the prison closed in 1963, guards and prisoners reported unexplainable phenomenon. So let's talk about those ghosts. Let's start with cell 14D, known as the Hole. This is where inmates were sent for solitary punishment. Some were stripped naked, left in pitch black darkness for days, sometimes weeks. One inmate, now this is an old legend, so take it as you will, was locked in 14D and screamed all night. He claimed something with glowing eyes was in there with him. By morning, he was dead. The cause? It was unknown. Cell 14D in Alcatraz is a notorious cell within the Hole, in cell block D, known for its extreme isolation and association with paranormal activity. It was used for solitary confinement and was described as having a perpetual chill. Visitors and staff have reported feeling a strong sense of coldness and even glimpsing spirits in and around the cell. Key aspects of the cell. Solitary confinement. This cell was one of the cells in the Hole, a punishment area for inmates, where they were confined in total isolation. The perpetual chill. Many visitors and staff have noted that cell 14D is unusually cold, sometimes 20 degrees colder than the rest of the cell block, according to SF ghost hunters. The cell is widely believed to be haunted, with stories of inmates screaming about entities and reports of strange occurrences. In addition to that, a psychic reported encountering a malevolent spirit named Butcher here. Can you guess what the prison records show? A man named Butcher was killed there back in the 1940s. Another tale involves Al Capone. When he wasn't in the infirmary, Capone used to play banjo in the shower room for isolation. To this day, multiple visitors have reported hearing faint banjo music coming from that same area, even when it's completely empty. One of the worst incidents was an attempted escape in May of 1946 that turned into a bloody standoff and left 3 men dead. The block scene where the inmates died is believed by some national park employees to be haunted. Strange clanging noises break out at night from the empty corridor, but it stops as soon as the watchman opens the door. Cell blocks A and B too have had their share of weird incidents. Employees have heard mysterious screams, running footsteps, and loud crashing sounds there. In 1984, ranger and night watchman Rex Norman was awakened by the sound of a weighty steel door swinging wildly in cell block C. The sound stopped when he got there, but began again the next night, and the next night, and the next. Visitors and staff have also reported whispering voices in cell block B, heavy footsteps on metal catwalks with no one there, cold gusts in sealed-off areas, apparitions appearing in photos but not seen with the naked eye. Here's a quote from somebody. The lights flickered. I was on the night tour alone in a cell block. I heard coughing from inside a locked, empty cell. It was raspy, like someone sick. I turned around and no one was there. Now that was a real quote from a visitor who left a review online after a tour in 2023. So, are these spirits real or just our minds filling in the blanks in a place full of trauma? To dig deeper into these stories, after I released my Alcatraz video, I got to chat through email with a former Alcatraz tour guide. Here's part of that conversation. I asked him, so how common are the ghost stories among the staff? He said, honestly, very common. Even the skeptical rangers have weird stories. I once had a coworker refuse to walk down cell block A after closing because of the footsteps he heard when he was in the last one there. I asked, what's the creepiest thing you've experienced? He said, one night, during a final sweep before closing, I saw a full figure walk across the upper tier of the main cell block. I shouted, no response, but when I went up to check, nothing, and the door was locked from the outside. I asked him, do you think Alcatraz is really haunted? He responded, I think the energy is real, whether it's ghosts or just the weight of history. Something stays behind in places like this. Now, this was just a person I've never met face to face, so take that account as you will. So let's ask the question, are the ghost stories real or just convenient marketing? I feel there's something behind them. As the gentleman I was talking to said, something stays behind in places like this. The ghost tours sell out all year. The night tours at Alcatraz seem like they add a theatrical element that's meant to give you the chills. There's no doubt it brings money into the national park system. But does it cross a line? Are we glamorizing suffering for entertainment? Or is it a way to connect emotionally to the past? Personally, I think there's value in both. Ghost stories are stories, they keep the memory of places and people alive in the way facts sometimes can't. With that said, I do believe some things aren't easily explained, especially at Alcatraz. There's a weight in certain corners of that prison that's hard to really describe. My takeaways, after spending time on Alcatraz, I walked away not afraid, but reflective. It's easy to get caught up in the ghost stuff, but what really sticks with you is the silence. The idea of people living and dying in total isolation. That leaves a mark. I didn't see anything ghostly, but there were moments, especially around cell 14D and the hospital wing, where I felt watched. And maybe that's enough. Would I recommend the night tour? I have never been on it myself yet, but it seems cool from what I have seen. Just stay near your group. Alcatraz Island remains a popular destination for those interested in paranormal activity and ghost stories. The combination of its violent history and the stories of Native American curses and reports of unexplained phenomenon has solidified its reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the world. Now, yes, definitely my experience on Alcatraz Island, and I walked around that day. I took the day tour. I filmed some YouTube videos for this channel, and I will admit that at certain parts of the prison, because get this, it's always windy over there, but it was a nice day. So I had a jacket with me, but I had the jacket taken off. And when I would walk into certain areas, they did seem a few degrees colder than the rest of the prison. I was around cell 14D, and around that area, I did have to put my jacket on. And then shortly after leaving that area, I took my jacket off. And there was just certain corners, certain areas, certain corridors, of the cell block that, yeah, it did seem a little colder. It did seem like something was maybe around me that wasn't there when I turned around, you know? Hard to explain stuff, definitely hard to explain, but I definitely enjoyed my time there. I do believe there is like some kind of weird energy there. Hard, like again, hard to explain, but definitely a place to visit if you're ever in the San Francisco area. I recommend it. The ferry ride is beautiful. It's a short ferry ride. I mean, they serve like stuff on the ferry for you to eat and drink, but the ride is so short, it's not even worth grabbing anything unless you're super hungry and want to, hold you over till after you take the tour. But the cell block was very cool. There was other areas, there was other buildings there that were in ruin, like they had the warden's house there, but it was basically a skeleton. They had a machine shop there. They had just all kinds of stuff there. You could walk around the area of the light. There's like a little lighthouse kind of thing. Very, very cool place. Like I said, I recommend it. It was about, I think it was about, the tour I took was about, I think like $60. But check it out if you're ever in the San Francisco area. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I'll probably be linking the videos I filmed on Alcatraz Island down below in the description box. So we will see you next time, and always keep your eyes open. You never know what's behind you, especially at Alcatraz. Talk to you later.